guys, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining. Today I am joined by Jessica Pearson of Path Nutrition, and she's here to answer some questions about nutrition and gut health and the life coaching business that she's in. So welcome, Jessica. Thanks for joining.
Thank you for having me. It's fun to be here.
Of course, of course. So I have some questions, and apologies if I keep looking at my phone during this, as I have my notes in there. But I wanted to start with just some basic introductions. So if you wanted to talk a little bit about your background leading up to you starting Path Nutrition.
Yeah, so technically now I'm a food and life coach. And before that, I did so many things. My career a whole other lifetime ago was actually in events, in hospitality, and that was kind of where the whole food passion started. And then I went to a health supportive culinary school, which is where I met Beth, my business partner. She's our dietitian and gut health guru, and from there we just really organically evolved from helping people figure out what to eat, but also why and how, because you know, sometimes you can just tell someone what to do, but it's not as easy as like, here's your plan. There's all these other parts to it that require support.
Right. Why does Path include both nutrition and a life coaching component to your services?
Yeah, so a lot of people think they can just come to us and we'll tell them what to do and then they'll just do it and their lives will be better. But as you mentioned, food can be really emotional, and sometimes making these shifts can be really challenging when we're not used to feeling a lot of the feelings that come up in the process. So the life coaching part of it is to really help change your mind and the way that your brain works and the way that you think about your body and food, and not just following a plan.
Yeah, absolutely. What types of symptoms do people tend to come to you with, or what types of issues do they tend to come to you with that they kind of want to resolve or improve?
Yeah, a lot of people come to us thinking that weight is their main concern, which I think in our culture we're still trying to figure that out. But what happens is people come in and then we realize they have other symptoms like GI concerns, skin conditions, a lot of people with eczema, brain fogginess, like just feeling tired or kind of out of it all the time. There's so many different symptoms that we're just all walking around with all the time. Mm-hmm. And then we think, oh, it's the weight. That's clearly the answer and the reason to come in. And so we can help with the weight too, but we just want to address everybody from the inside out, because we can also usually by sorting out your gut health and addressing your mindset around things, everything including your weight kind of just works itself out.
Yeah, there are a lot of steps to take in understanding what is actually beneficial for your body, and everyone has such a different body chemistry that what I found is definitely not a one-size-fits-all model. And so what Jess and her partner Beth help people to do is to find the kind of formula or patterning and habits that are going to work for a particular person, and not just kind of take this like very generalized way of thinking of, well, just cut out gluten or just cut out dairy.
Yeah. And I think it's also just trusting yourself and your body. Like, there's so much fear navigating what is right for people in the beginning. They're like, no, I just want you to tell me. And so we guide you along the way, but there has to be this level of exploration and trust that you develop that helps you see how when you nourish yourself and you take care of your body, it takes care of you. And it's a leap of faith, but that's where that life coaching comes in.
Exactly. So I want to talk a little bit about why food is so emotional.
Yes. Food is emotional for a few reasons, but one of the biggest reasons is that we are taught to fix our feelings. Like, it's something that we learn in childhood, and it's totally culturally acceptable. So when we feel sad or mad or even happy, we like to enhance that feeling. We just want to feel better, and a lot of us go to food. Because food is just a really quick way to get that hit of dopamine and serotonin, and we just learn that from the time that we're kids, and we carry that on through our whole lives. But food is also, as you mentioned before, about having celebrations and food being healthy in a cultural way. It's tied to our memories. So being a child and celebrating a holiday or a birthday, we just make it mean all of these really big emotions for us. So it is helpful to learn to see how your looking at food and where we project all of that emotion onto it, so that we can kind of like peel it back apart, so that not every meal is trying to satisfy a need for fixing a feeling.
Right. Yeah, that's a really good point. And we talked a lot about this of, foods being associated with particular milestones or events in your life, and that can be positive or negative. But it's like birthdays, you are surrounded by sugar. It's all about cakes. And then, if you get dumped, it's like normal to just eat a pint of ice cream on the couch. Or like for Valentine's Day, it's all just like chocolate, as much chocolate as you can possibly eat. And so there's that association with like, well, if something good happens, I have to eat a ton of sugar and carbs and everything else.
It's like if something good happens, I eat things, and if something bad happens, I eat
also
things.
eat
So like, what am I not eating all of the food?
Yeah. What I've seen a lot of in myself is then this kind of reaction to those norms of wanting to create almost a deprivation in some instances, because there are those overindulgences. And like in my brain wanting to create that balance, I'm like, okay, well, if we're gonna eat this cake and all these cupcakes today, that means tomorrow you get nothing. And then you have these like polarizing feelings around food that can start to form. So if you want to expand a little bit on kind of what you tend to see a lot of.
I think clients. A lot of people, they either are overthinking about it, right? And when they're thinking about it, it's coming from a place of punishment or like self-hatred or self-loathing. And anytime we're taking an action from that place, it's not ever really going to serve us. So we have to come back to a place of self-love, even if the actions are similar. So, let's say you did eat, I don't know, like
birthday
just
cake.
like let's say it was cake all day for like 24 hours, just cake and Chick-fil-A, right? Like the next day, you could have two choices. Like you can come from a place of self-loathing and self-hatred and just feeling really bad about yourself, and then try to restrict and then just be like, well, I'm just gonna have like soup and salad today, and like this is my punishment, right? Or you can come from a place of like, wow, that was a fun day, and I'm so glad that I did that, and I still love myself, and it doesn't mean anything, and I'm also listening to my body, and I think that what I need is to focus on getting a few more vegetables in today or something like that. So even though the actions can be similar, it's like, where does it come from? And so I think a lot of people go to those extremes because that's just diet culture, and what we're taught is like, you're either good or you're bad, or you're either all or nothing.
Right.
And what we really have to teach is like, just like the past is the past. We have to accept things before we can move forward with them, and we have to do them from a place of love, not from a place of
Yeah, and I found it to be a very similar mentality to kind of the exercise one, where you have to examine why you are going to work out. Is it coming from a place of self-love and you want to go and build your energy, and it makes you feel good, it makes you feel strong, it makes you feel empowered, it makes you feel like you want to go take on the rest of your day? Or are you going to work out from a place of self-hate because you feel like you're fat or you're overweight or you hate your body, and you are going to work out because you have so much anger around that you like don't know what else to do with yourself? So I think like I've personally definitely fallen into both camps depending on the day, and it's a good, again, like gut check to ask yourself why you are doing the thing. Like, why are you going to work out? Is it coming from a positive place? Why are you choosing to eat whatever you're about to eat? Is it coming from a positive place of self-love?
Which is always coming back to our thoughts, which is the life coaching piece of it. So when people are like, when you say restriction, or you feel like I'm restricting something, or this feels like a restrictive diet, it's usually because we're saying I can't have XYZ, or I shouldn't have this food. And what we always offer to people is, you can have anything you want, always. I mean, our society is set up, even I can have anything delivered to my door any time of day.
And I have done that.
Yeah, and so it's not like anytime I choose to not eat a thing, it's not coming from a place of, oh, I can't have it. It's like truly a choice of, I don't really want it right now, and that's okay, that's a good thing.
Absolutely. So what are some of the ways that you work with clients to kind of neutralize food and not allow it to continue to be such an emotionally charged decision in people's day?
Yeah, so one of the reasons why it is so emotionally charged is because we're always eating from a place of an urge. It's like we don't think about food, we don't plan for it, and then all of a sudden we're hungry and it's like, what sounds good? So then we like go to our favorite restaurant, we eat all the things, or we don't and that always make the choices that we would like to make for ourselves because we're coming at it from a place of an urge, like a sense of urgency, but also not just a physical urge, but a emotional urge. Like, ooh, doesn't like this sound good?
Yeah.
Like, how many times have you just been like, what do you want for dinner? And then you just think about what would sound really good, not like, oh, I could just eat this and it would satisfy me.
Literally every day.
Yeah. So one of the ways that we diffuse that is asking clients to plan. So this is what nobody wants to do, right? But it's like, think about what you're going to do the next day ahead of time. I don't believe that you have to sit and meal prep for the whole week or plan out every detail of your entire week, but I can think about tomorrow morning, and I can think about lunch, and I can think about dinner. And for me, it's different for everyone, like the detail and the level that you will plan depending on your goals and what we're trying to achieve. But at a minimum, I kind of just am like, think about your next day, because what happens is your current better self is planning for future you, and you're always going to decide to make these more nourishing choices. But we also say do it realistically. So if you're going through the drive-thru 3 times a day, I don't want you to plan tomorrow as like kale salad for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, because then tomorrow's going to come and you're not going to do it. And this is where the challenge is, because you have to get really honest with yourself about what your current behaviors and patterns are. And sometimes it's hard to look at what you're actually doing. We like to just pretend like it's not happening. But once you face that and then you can start planning, it does take some of the emotion out of it, because when you get to the next day, you're like, I already know what I'm eating for lunch. So you're not spending all of this time and energy trying to decide what you're going to eat in the moment. The hard part though is you're still going to have some of those urges, like, well, I plan to go here or bring my lunch. And then in that moment, you're gonna be like, I don't want to do that. I want that pleasure. I want to feel something else, and I want the food to satisfy that. And so, that's really our work together, is trying to figure that out for people so that we can not make every meal be about emotion.
Yeah, and something that I found helpful in starting to, well, first of all, just understand what were my current eating habits, was to keep a food journal for just like 5 days even. It doesn't have to be like forever, but keeping a food journal for a few days to see what my food patterns were and what types of decisions I was currently making, so that when I attempted to start planning a day in advance, I wasn't starting from a completely unrealistic place.
Yeah.
Not actually, or maybe being like slightly in denial about like what my current habits were. Yeah. And then
and it's hard, it's kind of hard work, so
yeah. It's really hard work actually. And one of the things that I found really challenging was that I don't really grocery shop, especially not for like multiple days at a time, or I don't like go grocery shopping for the week or something like that. Like, so I had to go from buying one individual meal at a time, and each meal was kind of this like spur of the moment craving based decision, or like, yeah, as I was saying, having to go from being someone who doesn't grocery shop to planning the following day of my meals, where everything was kind of like flying by the seat of my pants, like going off of cravings, was really, really challenging. And it's something that I still struggle with. But now at least what I've found works for me is just going shopping for food once in the day and buying my meals for that entire day, so that I'm not having to like run out 3 or 4 times a day, which I was doing.
That's a lot of mental energy.
It's so much mental energy, it's physical energy, it's time spent in really frustrating traffic, it's all of the things, right? And it's more money spent. Like when you are buying individual meals like that, you're spending so much more money than like even just still buying like one big haul for the day is a small improvement to that. So that was really, really challenging, but something that I can see the benefit of having to use your prefrontal cortex and actually plan what you are going to eat and how you're going to nourish yourself.
Yeah. Well, because if you're planning ahead of time, there's not any future emotion involved. So you're just making a decision. And then when you make a decision and we're not living in confusion, it just saves all of that time and energy.
Yeah.
And then you get to feel a feeling Or you get to find another way to deal with emotions that is not eating them every meal.
Yeah. So if someone were to come to Path, they've never seen a nutritionist before, they've never done any kind of life coaching before, but they just feel off, maybe they've got brain fog, maybe they just want to lose weight. What is something that they can expect from you in that first interaction?
Yeah. We always like to talk to people first just to give you a little bit of a taste of what we do so that you can feel as comfortable as possible. I know that it's not easy to ask for help or to dive into some of the emotional work that we do because it's not just all about food. A lot of us think it's just about the food, but it's not. And some people may not be prepared to go that deep or to explore emotions on a level that like maybe you might do with a therapist, but we're not therapists. So we ask a lot of hard questions that a lot of people aren't prepared to answer, but they love the questions because they're very thought-provoking. When you work with us, you get two of us. So Beth isn't here today, but she is our dietitian, and we have a lot of similar training, but we also have different tools that we bring to the table and different personalities. So you have a team on your side that is helping you understand how your body works and what is going to work for you. So I would expect, it's an emotional process, but it's also a very nourishing one where we really want you to feel welcome and like you can lean into us to get through this process. Our biggest messaging struggle is it's like, okay, we believe that you can still desire to lose weight and to change your body if you want to. We also know that you have to love and accept yourself. So it's like we're somewhere in the middle where I think, body positivity is amazing, but it's not always health focused. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. There's a lot of mixed messaging going on there too, just as like obviously diet culture and a lot of the fitness world is just like no.
Yeah, so. It's almost like the phenomenon of, we're in this such a like yogi culture now where, obviously like westernized, Americanized version of that and our own interpretation, but it's almost the phenomenon of like people started frequenting yoga studios and buying into that whole like look and feel and mentality and lifestyle, and I'm a yogi now, but I also, that means have to have the newest, best, most expensive yoga clothes, yoga mat, the beads, the whole thing, and it's like, well, that's not actually what it's about.
Right.
So I feel like a similar thing is happening with nutrition now, where it's so trendy to be like on this health train and to go to stores like Erewhon and to buy a million supplements and to be
drink the celery juice
and like hop on board with all of these like food trends like the keto diet and this and that, and we're getting away from the good intent of nourishing yourself by hopping onto all of these trends.
You said that so beautifully. That's awesome. So true. But I think people are trying the trends because they really do want to help themselves, and there's so much information. It's like very confusing.
And they're desperate, like they're confused. Like a lot of people are coming from this place of just like, I don't know what else to do right now because I'm bombarded with so much potentially false information and just confusing information that's out there. And so that's certainly how I felt. I was like, well, maybe I should be keto. I don't know. Like everyone seems to think that that's the best thing for you, so maybe I should be doing that. And I think it takes kind of coming to a place like Path and sitting down with Jess and Beth to really understand your own body, your own thought patterns and your own habits that you have formed and that you want to form to find that pathway of what's going to work best for you.
It's really just learning to think for yourself, which is not easy.
So if you guys are interested in learning more about Path, do you want to let everyone know where they can find?
Yeah, you can find us at pathnutrition.com or path_nutrition on Instagram, and we're also on Facebook.
Thank you guys for tuning in this week. I hope that you found this helpful and informative, and go check out Jess and Beth on Instagram and on their website and on Facebook. And if you have any questions about my experience with Path, feel free to DM me on Instagram. And if you have any other questions for Jess, obviously find her on Instagram. If you send me a message, I'll triage it over. And that's it. So thank you again for watching. Please click to subscribe to my channel. I put out new videos every week, and I look forward to seeing you next week.